My name is Claire Morgan, and 3 weeks before my brother's wedding, my mother told me I wasn't invited. She said it calmly, almost proudly. "You've made this whole thing about money," she told me. "We think it's better if you stay home." I stared at her across the kitchen table. The strange part wasn't that she was throwing me out of my brother's wedding. It was that I had already paid for most of it. The venue deposit. The photographer. Flowers. The rehearsal dinner. Even the honeymoon. I looked at my brother Daniel, expecting him to say something. He didn't. He just stared at his hands. So I nodded. "Okay," I said. My mother smiled, as if she'd won. She didn't know that by the time I reached my car, I'd already made a decision. That night, I canceled every future payment that carried my name. And then I discovered something much worse. Someone had been using my identity to pay for the wedding. For years, my family had called me whenever they needed help. I was the responsible one, the daughter who had a stable job, paid her bills on time, and kept every receipt. My father used to joke that I could find a missing penny in a dark room. After he died, that became less of a joke and more of a family business. My mother needed help with her mortgage. Daniel needed help replacing his car. Then came medical bills, tuition, home repairs, credit cards, and things nobody could ever explain properly. Every request came wrapped in the same sentence: family helps family. And I believed it. Over 5 years, I gave them more than $38,000. I never complained, I thought. I was honoring my father's final wish. Then Daniel got engaged to Emily. Emily was kind, ambitious, and came from a wealthy family in Connecticut. The wedding was going to be beautiful and expensive. At the engagement dinner, my mother announced that they had chosen a historic hotel overlooking the river. Everyone clapped. Then she looked at me. "You'll handle the deposits." Not, "Could you help?" Not, "Would you mind?" Just, "You'll handle it." I smiled and said, "Okay." I paid the $7,200 venue deposit. Then the photographer. Then the florist. Then the caterer's first installment. For the honeymoon, I opened a separate savings account in my own name and deposited $5,000. It was supposed to be my wedding gift. I kept every receipt, every transfer. Every confirmation email. I didn't realize those documents would eventually save me. The first warning came when Daniel stopped answering my questions. I'd ask about the guest list. He'd say Emily was handling it. I'd ask about the rehearsal. Dinner. Mom had it covered. I'd ask why I hadn't received the wedding group chat invitation. Daniel laughed. "You wouldn't enjoy that stuff." Then I noticed something else. My mother kept telling me the wedding was running over budget, but somehow, every time I paid another bill, nobody seemed worried anymore. It felt less like helping with a wedding and more like feeding a machine. One afternoon, my cousin Sarah called me. "Claire," she said carefully, "are you coming to the engagement party Saturday?" "What engagement party?" There was silence. "The one at Mom's house." I hadn't been invited. Sarah sounded embarrassed. "I thought you knew." I didn't, that night. I checked my credit report. It was a habit I'd developed years earlier. There was an inquiry from a credit union I'd never used. I called them the next morning. The representative told me there was a loan application connected to my name. I asked what kind of loan. "Wedding financing." She said. My stomach dropped. I never applied for a wedding loan. The woman became quiet. "There's a co-signer signature here." My signature? Yes, I knew immediately. It wasn't mine. I had never visited that credit union. I filed a dispute. Then I called my mother. She barely reacted. "Oh, that," she said. "It's probably just paperwork connected to the wedding." I asked her how my signature got there. She became angry. "Why do you always have to make everything so complicated?" That sentence stayed with me. Because suddenly I understood. They weren't asking me for money anymore. They were using my name. 3 weeks later came the kitchen conversation. "You're not invited," my mother said. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I simply stood up. "Okay." Daniel finally looked at me. "Claire, it's not personal." I smiled sadly. "Of course it isn't." Then I left. At home, I opened my laptop. First, I transferred the $5,000 honeymoon money back into my checking account. Second. I canceled my mother's airline tickets. Third. I contacted every vendor whose remaining balance was scheduled to hit my card. I didn't threaten anyone. I didn't insult anyone. I simply wrote, I will no longer be financially responsible for future payments. Then I closed the spreadsheet. For the first time in 5 years. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The next morning. My phone had 19 missed calls. My mother. Daniel. My aunt. Even Emily. Then came a message from Sarah. Claire, please call me. I found something. She worked at a regional bank during a routine document review. She'd seen my name attached to Daniel's wedding loan. She sent me a photograph. There it was. $16,000 loan. Borrower. Daniel Morgan. Co-signer. Claire Morgan. And underneath it was a signature that looked almost exactly like mine. Almost. But not quite. I pulled out old documents. My passport application. My mortgage papers. My tax records. My real signature had changed years ago. Forged signature was an older version. Then I remembered something. 5 years earlier. After my father died, I had stored a box of old documents at my mother's house. Inside was an expired driver's license, a copy of my social security card. Old financial paperwork, everything someone would need to imitate me. Only my mother had access to that box. I contacted an attorney. She studied the documents and looked at me. This is identity fraud, she said. What happens if I report it? The lender investigates. Your name can be removed if the evidence supports you. But once you report it, you can't control what happens next. I knew what she meant. Someone in my family could face criminal consequences. That night, Daniel came to my house. He cried. He said Mom had planned everything. The wedding budget had fallen apart. Emily's family expected a certain standard. My mother knew I would never let a bill go unpaid, so she thought she could use your credit. Daniel whispered. I stared at him. And you agreed? He looked down. I thought you'd forgive me. That hurt more than the forgery. Not because they had stolen my money, because they had counted on my forgiveness before they even betrayed me. I gave them one chance. I sent a formal letter. They had until Monday morning to admit the signatures weren't mine and remove me from every account. If they did, I would consider the matter closed. Monday came. Nothing. So I signed the fraud affidavit. Then I filed the police report. My hand didn't shake. For the first time, I was signing something that protected me. 2 days later, the credit union froze the loan. The bridal store card was suspended. The vendors started calling Daniel. The wedding began collapsing. Then my mother called. You're destroying your brother's life. I answered quietly. No. Mom, I'm refusing to destroy mine. She hung up. The rehearsal dinner was supposed to happen that Friday. Daniel's future in-laws had already arrived from Connecticut. My attorney told me I didn't need to attend, but Emily called me herself. I need to know the truth, she said. So I went. The dinner was held in a beautiful private room overlooking the river. Everyone was there. My mother. Daniel. Emily. Both families. My mother stood when I entered. She smiled. Claire came too. Apologize. I looked at her. No. The room went silent. I came because Emily deserves to know what happened. I placed the documents on the table, the loan application. The forged signature, the credit report, the fraud affidavit. The police report. I explained everything. No shouting. No insults. Just facts. Daniel started crying. My mother screamed that I was lying. Then Daniel finally spoke. She's not lying. My mother turned toward him. He continued. I knew about the loan. Emily stood up. Her face had gone pale. You knew? Daniel nodded. I thought Claire would fix it. Emily looked at my mother. And you? My mother said nothing. That silence answered everything. Emily removed her engagement ring. She placed it on the table. I can't marry into this. Daniel broke down. The wedding was Cancelled the next morning. The credit union eventually removed my name from the loan. The bridal card disappeared from my credit report. My brother had to repay the money. My mother never apologized. Not really. She told relatives that I had ruined everything because I cared more about money than family. But something had changed. People stopped believing her because this time I didn't defend myself with arguments. I had documents, proof, dates, receipts, and the truth. Months later, Daniel sent me a letter. He apologized. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask me to fix anything. He simply said he was sorry. I read it twice. Then I wrote back, I hope you become someone who never needs to steal trust from the people you love. We aren't close. Again, not yet. Maybe we never will be. But I no longer feel responsible for repairing what other people deliberately break. My mother still tells her version. Let her. For years, I thought being a good daughter meant always saying yes. Now, I understand something different. Love doesn't require you to destroy yourself. Helping family doesn't mean becoming their bank. And a boundary isn't betrayal. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is finally say no more, because the day my family realized I wasn't their bank was the day I finally realized I was worth more than what I could pay for.